Attitudes, boundaries, consequences, the rules of the house. These are all things that work so much smoother if we've built a relationship with our children. Here's 5 ways to do that. The first thing that we need to do when we're building any relationship at all is to listen. If we're not listening to the other people, if we're not listening to the other person in our lives, there is no way that this relationship is ever going to build. It is just impossible. Never going to happen if we don't listen to them, because they will never respect us. The first thing we need to do to be listening to somebody is to let them actually speak. If we're not giving our children the chance to actually communicate what they're thinking in the way that makes sense to them, there's no way that we're going to start to understand what's really driving them, what's really motivating them. We need to give them the space, the time, and the respect to be able to speak to us. We need to start to learn their language, and we need to let our egos get checked at the door. We need to come with a bit of humility, and sometimes we're going to need to deal with words and phrases and ways they say things that we cannot correct while they're expressing. We can come back later and we can address these things, but while we're giving our children a safe space to communicate, it's got to be just that, safe. We make the space, we keep it safe for them, and we address any issues later and just continue chipping away. If we don't let them speak and if we don't listen, this is never going to work and everything else is going to be harder. After that, we need to make sure, part of that is we're making sure that they can express themselves. If we're cutting them off every now and then and saying that the way they're saying something or the words they're using aren't appropriate, and they might not be, we are not going to get to the heart of the issue. We need to be able to bite our tongue and bide our time and let them express and communicate what they need to express and communicate. We can deal with everything else later and just add it to the list of things that we need to teach them and ways that they just need to learn respect. From there, we need to make sure that we let them lead. That is absolutely another way to listen to them. If we can find something that they can lead, something they can teach us, a way that we can play the follower for them for a while, we're going to be upskilling them and making them more competent and confident in their life, but they're also going to realize that we are listening to them, and it's going to train us to listen to them in a completely different way. I understand that they might be 10, they might be 12, they might be 14, they might be making us pull our hair out. But if we can let them lead, if we can be the one listening and following for a while, this relationship is going to build so much faster and so much smoother. Another thing that we want to do is just not always give them the answers. We can't just be coming to their rescue all the time, or in another way, but we can't be just going, this is what you mean, this is what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. Any attitude that we get like that in our own lives, any person in our own lives that's doing that to us, it just doesn't work. We start to build up a resentment. There's a resilience there. There's a wall that gets built, and we don't want to express ourselves. Why would it be any different with our children? I understand that we've had the time and built them up for years and years and years. They've gone from a little baby that can't do anything for themselves. But if we ever want that baby to grow into a person like we are, into an adult like we are, we need to give them the opportunity to express those things. Why not start them young? Why not help them while they're still willing to listen to us? Why not listen to them and let them actually express themselves first without getting these answers? If we can just hold that back, if we can quit trying to teach them all the time, quit trying to tell them that they're wrong, it is going to be so much easier when we do need to tell them that they're wrong, and they're going to be primed to listen if we do all of these things. It is hard to be quiet because we're used to just telling them how to do things. We're used to helping them with so many different areas. If we keep doing that though, they're never going to learn anything. They're never going to be able to do things for themselves. And we're just not always going to be there to do the things that they need. We need to equip them. And the first thing that we can do there is to listen to them. That's how we equip them. That's how we even learn the gaps that they've got. The second thing that we want to and need to be doing is being open and honest with our children. If we're just completely lying to them, we can't expect them to be telling us the truth. We need to sell ourselves out. Where we're short, where we've made mistakes, we need to be willing and able to tell them that we've made those mistakes. We need to, again, just humble ourselves and to be like, I messed that up. Here's what I did wrong. Even a sorry doesn't go astray here and there. We need to be telling them exactly where we've gone wrong. We need to sell ourselves out because that's going to make them want to sell themselves out. That's going to make them trust and respect us more. And for us, it's going to make us want to improve in all these areas. If we're telling our children where we've age appropriately, where we've done wrong, then every single time we're going to want to fix ourselves, and that's going to give us more skills to teach them, better ways to teach them, and more information, more ways to teach them these things. We need to be speaking their language, and if we're not learning, we don't understand the language of learning anymore. It's easy to just stop learning as we get older, but by doing this, by selling yourself out, you will naturally start to learn how to fix these issues. Tell them when you make a mistake, tell them where you make a mistake, and help them to avoid that same trap and pitfall in their futures. The next thing that we need to do is to not shy away from these things. It's very easy to want to play perfect. It's very easy to want to keep that power dynamic and that authority by acting like we've got it all together. But these children know, they see through that facade, and again, we're going to lose that respect. We need to not shy away from the mistakes that we make. We need to own the mistakes that we make and use them as a teaching opportunity for our children and for ourselves. We don't need to have it all together. We just need to be real, raw, and honest. And from there, everything should be able to work itself out because both of us are going to be improving. The next thing that we need to do is just not shrink. We can't back down from these things. We can't hide from these things. We can't try and cover up our mess and act like they never happened. We don't want our children to think that image management and putting on a fake perfect front is ever going to get them far in life. That's how you crumble on the inside. That's how you end up being a complete liar and a hypocrite. We don't want that. We want children that are actually living in some kind of integrity, living up to some kind of standard. We want children that are doing even better than what we've done as we were children and as we've grown up. If we're shrinking away and we're hiding these more negative things, again, when it's appropriate, it's almost like not arguing. If we're going to have all our arguments in the back room, our children are never going to learn how to argue effectively. If we're having controlled arguments and disagreements really around our children, they're going to see that conflict resolution, and they're going to start to see how we grow in that and how we get better in that over time and over our lives. These are the kind of things that we want to be open and honest with. It's going to be uncomfortable. There is no way around that. It is going to be so uncomfortable to be open and honest and to share these mistakes and pitfalls with our children. But if we're not willing to be uncomfortable, how can we expect them to be uncomfortable speaking to us? Just think of just the size dynamic. A child with their height coming up to a parent that's up at this higher level, that's a scary thing for the child. We don't think about it from our point of view. By opening up and honestly sharing our mistakes, we're starting to bring ourselves down to their level a bit more. We've still got more knowledge, but if we're closer, it's less for them to look up. It's less of a vulnerability for them, and it shows our vulnerability to them. Again, all of these things are just going to stack together, make less arguments, make less drama, and we're going to be able to have the actual open, honest dialogue with our children. That is the whole goal here. If we're open, they'll be open because they're going to copy what we're doing. They're going to learn from the things that we're learning, and they're going to see our growth, and that's going to make them grow much more than a lot of their peers that aren't getting this kind of treatment themselves. The next thing we want to do, and one of the most important things to do, is make the space. If we don't intentionally make space for these things to happen, if we don't plan ahead how we're going to have some of these conversations, how we're going to be open and honest, how we're going to really listen to them, chances are that it's just not going to happen. We're throwing darts and hoping that we hit a target without even trying to aim first. The target could be completely behind us and we've thrown the wrong way. Making the space makes these things happen. We've all got a certain amount of time. Let's face it. That time doesn't come back. We need to give our children that time because either way, we're spending this time. Why not invest in our future and our children's future by actually spending the time on them? I understand that we all get tired after work. I understand what it's like even just being at home and emotionally giving and giving and giving to your family and the people around you. But if we don't choose, even when we're exhausted, tired, and just down, to keep pushing and to keep giving and spending, everywhere that we can. There's times where we need to recharge, but every space we can, if we can keep spending and giving into these kind of conversations, into this space, again, we're going to just build that relationship. We're going to have a closeness and an openness, and it's going to be easier actually when we're really burnt out, when we're really run down, to say, I'm sorry, but I can't do this with you right now. I literally just need 5 minutes to go have a coffee. I need 10 minutes to have a quick nap, 15 minutes to have a nap. That's smarter than 10 minutes. Whatever it is that we need, if we've made that space, if we've been open and honest, and if we're willing to actually spend that time on our children, and when I say spend the time, I mean we could be preparing dinner and be completely late, completely run behind and run ragged for the day. If our child comes up trying to talk to us about something important to them, It's so much more important to stop, to spend that time. Maybe it's half an hour later that we have dinner one time. What if that means that our child doesn't come back to us with that issue for the next 10 years, gets themselves in a ton of trouble? That's what we're trying to avoid. Spend your time wisely. Spend it on your children rather than spending it just trying to waste your time and feel better. It's always going to be hard. It's always going to be difficult. It can be hard now, or it can be much harder later by trying to undo these things and trying to teach somebody that's built up walls to tear them down to let us in. Let them in while they're trying to come in, and this is going to be so much easier. We can also just make this space by doing activities and doing things together. I used to love having family time. I used to love watching movies. And sometimes it was more important to sit there talking during the movie and just interacting with each other than to sit there and just go mindless and enjoy what was on the screen in front of us. When we're spending this time, it's about our child. It's what they need, it's what they want, and what we need to be teaching them. Everything about them, though. If we're putting them first and giving them what they need and what we think they want, and then discussing it with them afterwards, we're just going to win. Make the space, spend the time. Where am I? Make them comfortable in the exact same way. It's all about having them comfortable. I've been talking to a lot of parents lately, and they're talking about going for walks. They're talking about maybe driving in the car so that you're not face to face and it's a little less confrontational when you're looking out the window and have distractions. Wherever your child is comfortable, that's where you want to make the space, and that's where you want to spend your time. If you know that there's somewhere that they open up more and they're going to be more vulnerable with you, and even somewhere that you can be a bit more vulnerable with them, as long as they're comfortable in that space, it could be sitting in the garden having a chat. The space and the time to make them comfortable is what counts here. That way we're spending the time and getting the best return. It's the most effective, and both of us are going to get the most out of it. Keep them comfortable, and these things are just going to flow naturally, and they're not going to even realize half the time what it is they're saying to us, because they're so comfortable and so free. And even better, if we can make it feel like they're friends and the people that they're already talking with, if we can use a little bit of that language to keep them comfortable, and again, avoid trying to correct them so that they can speak freely. Having them comfortable is going to make the truth come out so much quicker and so much easier, and that's all that we're looking for, the truth. If we get the truth from them, we can help them the best possible. Keep them comfortable. Like I was just saying in the middle of that, we need to be comfortable as well, but that's our priority after making them comfortable. We need to be comfortable being honest. We need to be comfortable being open. It's going to be vulnerable. It's going to be touchy. It's going to be sensitive. It's going to be awkward. We need to get comfortable in that awkward so that they can stay being comfortable. If we're awkward a bit, hide that. Get a good poker face. Whatever it takes to control your emotions and to control your reactions, your smiles and your frowns. If we can control those things and keep them comfortable and keep them feeling like we're not as awkward as we truly are, get comfortable in that. Get comfortable in that awkward, and this stuff is going to go so much further, so much quicker, so much easier than you even imagine. Everything can turn around in a day or two, even a conversation sometimes, if we put in this time and if we think these things through and set them up for your family, your dynamic, and the conversations that you need to be having with your children and your family for your life. Keep it comfortable for everybody, them first, you second, and find a comfortable space for both of you. Next thing, fourth thing, be tactical. This thing isn't just going to happen if we just walk into it. We need to plan these things. We need to think through how we're going to attack this stuff first. This is like a military operation right here. Every little bit and piece that we want to set up is going to give us the better chance of success. The best chance of success is going to give us the most wins in the most battles, and we're going to win this parenting war. Don't care how it sounds. Be tactical. Win the parenting war. Think long term. That's tactical. We need to slow down. If we're rushing in, if we're coming in with anger, if we're coming in with haste, if we're coming in without a plan, we're going to lose every time. The biggest tool that I found working in youth, working in residential care, working with people with disabilities, in my own home, and working with heavy trauma, slow down. There's no reason that we need to give our answers straight away. In fact, we can have ideas and realize issues that we've got right now, like the swearing in a conversation. We can put that on the back burner, even take a note in our phone, as long as they don't think that we're being rude by being on our phone, or that's not a deal breaker. We make this note, mental or written down, and we come back to this thing later. There's been times where a couple of hours later, I'll bring up something that was said in a conversation and bring the person back to it because I've had to de-escalate the situation, but that was such a big issue that it had to be spoken about. Sometimes it's been a day or two, even on a different shift in resi care, in a completely different day at home, and I've come back and gone, we had this happen yesterday or this happened the day before. What do you think about that? We don't even need to address it directly like that. We can slow down so much that we come back and say, hey, I've noticed that sometimes you ... and then take it from there. They don't even need to still be connected to those emotions so that we can really get to the heart of the issue. If we can slow down, if we can not just react and not just jump at them and run at them and jump down their throat and come out with that anger, we're going to win so many more times. Slow down, calm yourself down, which is probably going to be one of my next points. Pick your battles. Again, we're trying to win the parenting war, not just win every single battle. We don't need to be right. That's part of the humility thing. If we can let go of our egos and not need to win and not need to prove ourselves right with our children every single time, it's going to be so much easier to win long term because they can win a battle here and there. That's fine. Be tactical. Let them win the battles that don't really matter, but better yet, give them two options. One option that you really want and that is best for them, another option that you can deal with and that you really want anyway. That's how we win this stuff. They can have a choice and an option between these two things that are going to help them anyway, that are going to do the best for our entire family anyway. And we're going to both feel like we win. That's what we want with these children. We want them to have the choice, have the autonomy, but still be safe and still be guided by our love and by our care and by the protection that we are offering them as their parents, as their carers, as their support workers, or whatever we happen to be. Give the two options. Give them an actual choice. Pick your battles. Choose this space that we're going to confront them in. When we're connecting with them, it's one thing, but when we're confronting them, it's a different thing. We don't want to take away that kind of special place that we can interact and be open and honest and upfront and have that two-way dialogue. So when we do need to pick a battle, when we do need to come to them tactically with this is an actual issue, have a separate space, have a separate tone, have a phrase that you might say to them like, let's just go out to wherever or go to wherever and have a chat. Sit them down somewhere different, have a chair, do something different to let them know that this is more of a deep conversation, more of a setting the line and handing down consequences even. If we can separate those two different things and be tactical in the space that we choose to have a confrontation with them, to pick that battle and put them in their place, it's going to be so much easier. And we might get an eye roll here and there, but again, we're slowing down, we're not getting angry, we're letting them have a cue by picking this space. It's going to let everyone be prepared for what's coming, and hopefully we can do this in a way that's respectful and not as confrontational as I made it sound right now, but a bit more of a peaceful way to have this confrontation. Because we're parents, we're carers, we're the people in charge at the end of the day. We need to put these lines down, we need to draw these lines, we need to tell them where they've done wrong. Save all of the relationship by having a special place to do that, or go somewhere else. Even get out of the house to do it. Just keep it private, obviously. You don't want to be out in public making everyone feel uncomfortable. Keep them comfortable, keep you comfortable. We can deal with it, we're adults. We want to eliminate our emotions. I've just said it in and out of all of that stuff because it's that important and that higher priority. We need to make sure that whatever our emotions are, whether we're extra happy and heightened, or whether we're feeling down and low, or whether we're straight up angry, we need to be able to level all these things out and come neutrally to our children to, again, give them that respect and that dignity. And if that means that we need to take time, take the time. If that means that we need to leave it and come back, we can even tell them. Why not even tell them, depending how old they are? I'm feeling pretty annoyed right now. We're going to come back to this when I calm down. Be open, be honest, be upfront, control those emotions. It's going to go so much further than you even think. Keep it cool, calm, and collected, and you are going to go very, very far with this. Again, capping off this whole be tactical thing, we are playing the long game. We're in it for the war, not for every little battle that encapsulates that entire war. We want to have a bit of give and take. We want to let the flag down sometimes, or wave that white flag even, and be like, you win this one. Don't say that. Let them win it. Let them know. Even let them gloat, because you know what the long game is. You know where we're taking them. You know that one little hill is not worth losing it over. Let it go. Win the big ones. let go of the little ones, negotiate those medium ones. It's that simple. We need to be flexible. We really, really, really need to win this war and not just these battles. Last thing, number 5, and the most important. Be loving. We need to be loving our children. This whole thing is because we care about them. This whole thing is because we've got a strong desire to want to protect them. If we're not being loving, if we're not showing them that love in a way that they actually hear it, it doesn't mean anything. I need to go back to some older videos and put up some different links and stuff. There should be a link right now that literally is a video to the love languages, and a link will be in there to a blog that I've written on the love languages. These love languages help us to understand how love is felt, how love is explained, or how love is shown and spoken, and how love is heard. That's what it comes down to. We need to understand the way that we express love. We need to understand the way that our children hear love. And we need to learn to express our love in a way that our children are going to hear it. And that way it's going to connect. That way they're going to feel what's really happening in our hearts and in our minds. One of the love languages is affection. If our children need affection and we're just giving them words of affirmation and telling them how good they are, they're not going to feel like they're loved. They're going to feel neglected, and they're probably going to come looking for affection and feel shut down when we say you're doing really good without any actual affection. If our child is somebody that wants love, feels love by having gifts given to them, if we're not giving them gifts and we're just telling them how good they're doing, same thing. There's going to be a disconnect there. If we're giving gifts to our children, because that's how we express love, and they're wanting quality time, one-on-one time, and us to really just spend that time with them, then giving them a gift is never going to make them feel like they're heard at all. Words of affirmation, affection, gifts. Words of affirmation, affection, gifts. What else have we got? Service. That's my lowest love language, which is why I forgot it there. If I had a child, when I've been around children and worked with children actually, that needed you to help them to feel loved, it was very difficult for me because I'm trying to empower the children the whole time. If they need people to be doing stuff for them, do it with them. I needed to come alongside these children and help them do the stuff because then they felt like I was serving them. If I saw them dropping behind, I'd fill that little gap, and then they felt validated, they felt loved, and they heard what they needed to hear. They're the 5 love languages. Video's up. Boom. There's some more information. What we need to do is show that care and respect. That's exactly what I was saying there. By speaking that language, they're going to hear and they're going to see and they're going to feel that care and respect that we've got for them. Respect is the big word. That's why we're slowing down. That's why we're making them feel comfortable. That's why we're hiding when we're awkward and letting them be the one that leads sometimes. That's showing respect, which really tells them in a million ways that we care. Care and respect is the name of the game. We want to take care of our baby over these battles. Like I said before, we don't want to just be coming into everything, throwing our weight around with ego. Our baby, this person that we care about, this child that we care about, they're the thing that matters. We need to put them over being right, over winning a battle. Sometimes it's better to just let it go and to come back around to it later. They are the priority, not being right. Please don't mix that up. It is so easy, especially when we've had to teach them how to live. Next thing we need to do is let them actually decide. I said before about almost tricking them with options and giving them the option that we really want or the option that we want. Give them the options though. At the end of the day, when they get into this 10 to 14-year-old age that I'm really passionate about and really aiming at and really want to help, that is where it really matters. We need to let them decide. They're going to suffer some consequences that we're not going to be comfortable with. They're going to do some stuff that we don't like, but that's part of life. If we can let them practice that in a safe environment while they're around us, while they're at home, while they're growing, and they can just fall down and skin a knee instead of falling over and breaking a bone or breaking their neck, that is going to be much better for us, much better for our mental health, and much better for their mental health and their lives moving forward. They're going to be empowered, they're going to be equipped, they're going to be ready to actually tackle what's coming. We need to let them decide. We need to give them the reins because we don't want to just let them come to 18, 22, 30 if we've held on too long, and then finally be out in what I've been calling the wild lately and getting injured, getting hurt, getting trampled and run over. Let them practice that at home while it's safe, while they're young, and while we're right there next to them holding their hand. Last thing that we want to do is to remember, like I've just been saying, it's all about them. We're here to serve them. We're here to help them. We're here to lead them and to push them forward at this point. 10 to 14 is a massive transition age. It's just like being 2. We've had this baby that's pushed away from us in the terrible 2s, pushed away from us a little bit in between, and kept coming back to us. This is one of our last major big chances for them to be coming back and be connecting with us before they rush out into the wild on their own. They're not going to keep coming to us for all of the advice. It's going to be less and less and less as the time moves on and as they get older. Take advantage of it now. Serve them. Let them practice. Make them the priority. They're not there to validate us or our lives. We're here to teach them, to protect them, to lead them and guide them so that they're there to make a better future for us when we're old and feeble and frail and can't do it for ourselves. Please pour into your children, pour into this generation, pour into whatever child you've got around you in whatever capacity, whether you're a teacher, a carer, some kind of mentor for youth, some kind of leader, whatever you are. As a parent, you really need to be doing this. It's so easy to lose sight or to not know these things. They need you. Serve them. It's all about them. Be loving, be tactical, make some space, be open and honest, and make sure that you listen to them because it's all about them anyway. If you've sat here this long listening to this stuff or moved around or driven around listening to this, you're the kind of person that must want more information. You're the kind of person that must want to learn this stuff. You're the kind of person that must care. Please look at more videos. Go find more information. Subscribe to the channel, whatever it is. Find more information. Help your children more. Think about these things and have a plan. They need you and you need to be there for them. Thanks heaps. See you later.